Coming up on this special edition of the ICT Newscast, artists and rappers Mike Jordan and Jessa Calderon share their work protecting Native youth. Fashion is front and center in Southern California, and a stand-up comedian uses his community as inspiration. I'm Aaliyah Chavez. Join us for these stories on the ICT Newscast.
This program is made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, a private corporation funded by the American people.
Arizona State University welcomes 3,500 Indigenous students from Arizona and across the nation. It serves one of the largest populations of Indigenous students among U.S. colleges and universities. We created a sense of place for tribal nations to create futures of their own making through community outreach and research, taught by world-class Indigenous faculty where they see a reflection of themselves and their experiences. Find community at ASU.
Amadawahopa. Thank you for joining us for this special edition of the ICT Newscast. We start today in Southern California, where Indigenous fashion was front and center at the San Manuel Band of Mission Indians Yamava Resort and Casino. ICT's Paris Wise worked in partnership with FNX to recap the casino's first ever Fashion Days event.
The two-day Yamava Fashion Days event held poolside runway shows that featured Indigenous designers, including Section 35, Orlando Dugai, Jennifer Younger, and Jamie Okuma. Vogue contributor and writer Christian Allaire led a panel discussion with San Manuel tribal members, Prey actress Amber Midthunder, and designer Jamie Okuma.
I'm going to go back to Jamie and Amber because I feel like you guys are both really sort of trailblazing in fields that hasn't in the past been very welcoming to Indigenous people, I will say. You know, Hollywood and mainstream fashion, has long, I think, ignored our culture, but are finally sort of waking up to the beauty of it.
I sat down with Chris to get his thoughts on the current state of Native fashion.
Well, the Native fashion scene has kind of exploded in the past 5 years. It's something I've been covering for about 5 years, and the amount of growth I've seen is crazy because now, you can find Native designers in virtually every category, whether it be swimwear, makeup, formal wear, streetwear. It's really expanded to just about every category, and I think that's really inspiring to see how people keep channeling their culture into unexpected mediums. So I just hope that continues, really. I think events like this are important because just Indigenous people haven't given platforms to show their work, especially designers in the mainstream fashion world. So an event like this really allows them to show their beautiful work and to highlight what they're doing, which is so interesting, taking traditional clothing and doing it in a modern way. We need to see more of that out in the fashion world.
While Native fashion is rapidly growing in more mainstream spaces, this event helped in creating even more opportunities for designers to share their work.
It's the first time I'm actually showing larger pieces that are handmade by me, like solo on the runway. I've had a few opportunities in the past to accessorize other designers with their work, with their clothing designs. So this is really exciting to have my first big solo show. A lot of what I do, I'm kind of taking traditional elements and trying to make them contemporary. So I feel like each piece has a story, and I hope that what really comes across is like kind of something that is empowering and makes the woman or wearer feel strong. And I have a couple of pieces that are what we call like a tana, a copper shield. And I've kind of made them into these big chest, wearable art pieces. And to me, they represent like strength, empowerment, protection.
The runway is a special place for designers and has been for artists who can now reflect on their careers and the lessons along the way.
When I see my work on the runway, it definitely inspires me. I find myself sometimes it's surreal, but I've learned to embrace the runway, and I think there's a lot of creative freedom that comes with the runway, and it also it inspires me, and it helps me kind of think forward in my design and what's coming next, and it helps me kind of build concepts for collections and stuff like that. So yeah, I get a lot out of it, you know, and I didn't see myself doing runway when I first started, and I never, you know, thought I would be doing it, but here I am, and yeah, I've learned to embrace it a lot.
Oh gosh, I've been doing this for 12 years now, going on 12 years, and I've just progressed slowly. I'm self-taught, and I just do what I feel like I want to do. I don't know how else to explain it, but the basis of my design is based on my upbringing, my cultural background, and it really speaks to elegance and beauty in a very intricate way within our ceremonies. And so I sort of create and design things sort of based on that. I think I'm able to tell a story without literally taking a motif from a story or a traditional way of doing something and putting it onto a garment. Rather, I take it apart and put it back together in my own way with just really intricate beading and embroidery. A lot of people told me that I couldn't do fashion, that it was going to be really hard. Yes, it is really hard, but I love it so much that I'm still doing it after so many years, and I just constantly learn new techniques, new things, and just try to keep evolving.
Jamie Okuma also carries lessons from when she began creating art at the age of 5 years old. She says her art is not a brand, but a reflection of who she is as a person.
Oh yeah, don't give up. I would get really frustrated. And it's funny, my mom told me, my grandma, her mother did the same thing because we knew they were artists. She went to her when she would get frustrated to help me draw this. And she's like, no, you need to figure it out. I went through the same thing. And I specifically remember this one time. I was so frustrated because I couldn't get it right. And she was like, I can show you how I do it, but it's not like, you need to work it out. And which is great. It forces you to learn and not have something done for you. Our people do it the best, I feel, because we know what we have. And it's so amazing to get this type of support because really not too many people are doing that. It's finally getting there, but our own people really help push that. And events like this obviously is visibility. We're just looking at it as Native fashion and not all the other differences out there but within our people. But we're all together pushing that forward and higher and bringing more awareness, and then we can step into the little nuances of those things. It's not just Native, it's me and my life, and then there's branches of that. So I mean there's a lot involved to get to a design or to a collection. There's so much behind that.
In Southern California, Paris Wise, ICT News.
She is a writer who uses her life experiences to shape what she advocates for, like supporting and uplifting strong Native women. Here is this interview with Jessa Calderon from March. So your art takes many different forms, poems and rap songs. Tell us how you describe yourself as an artist.
I guess I would just say artist, but my very favorite thing to do is write. So I write hooks for people, verses for people, and I finally gained the confidence to write a book called Sisterhood, which has dropped almost a year from now, or a year ago from now.
And what's Sisterhood about?
Sisterhood is a book about 7 young women who are growing up in the hood, or as some might call in Los Angeles, the barrio. And these young women are all Native and Indigenous women. Some of them are California Native women, and their stories are being followed from the time of birth to the time of death, but the main stories are taking place in their teenage years. And the goal of the book is to have people read it and watch these young women hold sacred, safe space for each other and bring healing to one another through all their trials and tribulations. And so it helps them to grow into these magnificent women who have healthy lives and relationships and careers.
How did you get the inspiration for this book? Was it something you always knew that you wanted to write about?
It was very life-inspired. Every story in that book is based off of a true story, and there are a lot of facts in that book. So it's just basically life from my perspective.
I think so often when we talk about Native women in books or in movies or in songs, it's not every day that you hear about the resilience of Native women. Maybe talk about that, how that played into the storyline of sisterhood.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what I wanted to do, because I grew up in the Los Angeles Unified School District, where they are known to fail us. And when I say us, it's most children, but mainly people who look like me, dark-skinned. And so one situation I speak of often is having a teacher tell me that I was going to be locked up in juvenile hall at 13, pregnant by 14, and dead by 15, because that's just how it goes for us people. For you people is how he said it. And so I drew from that, right? I was very fortunate to be raised in my Native community and be taught how to sit in ceremony and pull from this loving energy. And even though it was a struggle from the trials and tribulations growing up in the hood and the negativity that surrounds, I always was able to pull from that power. And so I've been very fortunate to do the things that I have done, and what I wanted to do was reach a broader audience in a quicker way to help people understand that we could say, and so it is, when they tell us that this is how it's supposed to go for us, or we could say, actually, I'm writing the narrative for myself. And in that book, I give the tools to help these young people, or anybody who picks up the book to read it, to apply those tools to themselves to create an amazing life and a decent life and a healthy life for themselves moving forward after they read the book.
I noticed your shirt, it says Protect Oak Flat. I'm really curious what your thoughts are on the entire movement. There was just a court hearing that happened in Pasadena. What are your thoughts on Oak Flat?
Yeah, well, that actually is my homeland, is Pasadena. So while they were having that court, I was up here in Arizona. Otherwise, I would have been in support. But I am in support because, there's a lot of power in sacred sites, and we know that. We understand that as Indigenous peoples. And the reason why I stand in support of protecting their sacred site is because if this doesn't go through in a way to protect the lands and the peoples of that area, then we already know that everybody's sacred site is going to be further devastated than some of our sacred sites already have been. So if this site can be protected in this way, where on national level we understand and we have seen their site be protected, that gives us all a better chance to keep the rest of our sites that haven't been devastated protected at this point moving forward. So I will fight with them and stand with them, because I understand that if I'm acting as if, well, that's not happening in my backyard and only focusing on my situation, then I can expect the same for others. But if we're standing in support with them, then that makes us stronger together, and that gives me the hope that should I call on them to come stand with us, they will do so, because they'll remember the time that our people stood with them.
Oak Flat is just one example of various sacred sites around the country that are also under threat of being developed. We also saw the Willow Project in Alaska being a big issue that I've heard, at least from a lot of people talking about. I'm really curious, in your opinion, how do you sort of center Native voices in these grander conversations?
It's really tough. I feel like oftentimes we have to kick that door open. I'm grateful for social media, because that has given us a platform to speak our truth. But it's a tough place in Iraq, I think, too, because we have sacred sites that we have been trying to protect, and there has been a lot of struggle in it. And some of our family members, our elders, they don't understand social media, and they're asking us not to use it as a platform. So it's really, really tough in getting that voice centered. But for me, it's just about everywhere you go, having a conversation about it so that everybody that you talk to now has that awareness of this situation occurring. And this is actually a really good way to have a conversation if somebody sees your shirt and says, hey, that's really cool. And now you've got a conversation going, right?
Absolutely. Well, Jessa, I've enjoyed this conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
When we come back, an Anishinaabe rapper talks about fatherhood, and we learn when we can expect his next album. Stay with us. Ojibwe rapper Mike Jordan was named North Dakota's Hip Hop Artist of the Year in 2016. For years, he has created a series of hits and also leads hip hop writing workshops. I caught up with him just hours before he took the stage for a show at Cahokia in downtown Phoenix, Arizona this spring.
Thanks so much for having us. It's been a while since I got to sit down with Indian Country Today. As far as the projects that I'm working on right now, I had an album that I'm sitting on, and trying to find time to put that out, but also not trying to rush that because I'm busy. I have a family that I take care of. I have 2 beautiful girls, and so my project and inspiration has been just slowly moving towards that. I'm working on a full-length, my second full-length album called Breathe. And there's a lot of just very strong tracks on that album that tell our stories as Indigenous people, but also there's a lot of healing through it. And that's what my current works are, and I hope to finish here soon.
A lot of people know and recognize your work on Dear Native Youth. That was some years ago, but maybe talk about if a lot of the lyrics and the sentiments in that still hold true today.
Oh my gosh, there's not a day that goes by that I don't get a message from our youth. I made that song as a moment to speak to the youth and kind of speak to my younger self. And I didn't know it would do what it did. It was like an open letter to our Native youth, like letting them understand that I know what you're going through, because I've been through it, and just taking a moment to shine the light on them. And it's one of my most powerful songs that I've put out today. And it still gets so much love and appreciation, and I'll be performing that during my set at the Cahokia event, and I'm very excited about that.
You mentioned that you're a dad. When your children grow up and they, fully embrace that song, what do you hope that they're taking away from it?
Oh, got me talking about my girls. I love this question. For them to see themselves through it, for them to know that their dad truly cared about shining the light on our Indigenous youth. And it's so crazy that song is for all these kids that it's touching now, but thinking about my daughters, and if they're going through a tough time, I hope they could tune into that. And that's a tough question, sorry.
For your next album, I'm really curious. I mean, there's so many topics that you could really delve into. At a high level, what are some of the topics that you're exploring?
Yeah, the whole concept of the album is about breathe. A lot of us, we carry personal traumas, we carry heavy hearts, and the most powerful thing is just breathing and learning to be within yourself in those breaths. Learning to, I do a lot of mindful meditation, a lot of praying, and just breathing and knowing how to breathe is so powerful. And so that whole album, it's you're breathing in and you're breathing out. Conceptually, there's a lot of definite topics on there. I got a song called "Wave Your Flag," and it comes from the idea of land back and the land back movement and the flag that we can now put on in our front yards that represents us, as the American flag represents, Americans. But the land back flag is our flag, and for us to be proud of that. And so there's a song that I have Lila June featured on. And there's songs that really kind of help, people understand that spirits are with us. Our ancestors are with us. Spirits are with me. I have a song about our spirits with us. And as we travel and as we navigate these, our difficult lives, that we're not alone. And so, there's just a lot of very, very strong topics. And then lastly, there's one of my favorite songs that I finished. It's called "The Storm," and "The Storm" is about emotion. Being a man and being raised by women, I was always taught to have that motion. And the storm is not so much about the storm of weather. It's just letting yourself cry. And it's one of my favorite songs that I'm excited to put out.
I always love to hear from other Indigenous people what land back means to them. What does it mean to you?
Oh, it's such a powerful movement, but land back to me means hope. There's so much hope in the land back movement. It's revitalizing, and there's this ideation that we as people don't own the land, that land owns us. And so, putting the land back in Indigenous hands, in the right hands, is actually giving back to Mother Earth and to the rightful owner of this land, and I believe it's Mother Earth. And so there's just so many different reasons that it can mean, but it just reminds me of hope and giving the land back to Mother Earth.
Well, Mike Jordan, I've loved visiting with you today. Thank you so much.
You go ahead.
He is a comedian and writer whose work has appeared in places like Comedy Central and Fox's The Great North. I sat down with Brian Bahi, who is from the Tohono O'odham, Hopi, and Navajo nations, to discuss his life in Hollywood. Take a look at our interview from May. What has been your journey to stand-up comedy? Is this something you always knew you wanted to do?
Kind of. I actually started here in Phoenix. I went to Arizona State. Shout out Sun Devils. I went to Arizona State, and while I was there, I started taking improv classes at this improv theater, kind of like downtown, pretty close to here, called the Torch Theater. And that's when I was like, I really want to, perform and do comedy for a living. And I didn't know how to do that because no one I knew had ever done anything like that before. So I kind of just looked around on the internet, and it seemed that New York City was where you go to start doing comedy. So I just kind of was okay, let me try to get to New York somehow. I ended up getting an internship in Washington, D.C., and I was there for a few months, and then, just kind of saved up and then moved to New York and started doing stand-up once I moved there in 2013.
What has been the collaboration or the community behind Indigenous stand-up comedians? I mean, I grew up on watching people like James and Ernie. I think everybody kind of
I love them.
Watched them. But, what has been the community there?
I feel like the community now is pretty strong, and it's just growing. I feel like when I started, 2013, that mid-2010s, I guess you could call it, it felt like there wasn't a lot of just Native comedians or Native actors or just Native comedy television shows. So I was just what would that look like? What does that look like? And I could only speak from my point of view. And so I was just trying to write jokes that I thought were funny and honest about myself. But in the past few years, it feels like there's been a really cool, surgeons. I don't know if that's right. Or I know resurgence is a word. I don't know if surgeons is I was an English major. But it just feels like there's so many good comedians out there, and they're kind of all over the country, and they're all super funny. And I've had a chance to work with a lot of them and do shows with them. And yeah, they're great. And there's like more, every day it feels like, so it's cool.
I mentioned earlier that you worked on the show for Fox, The Great North. Tell us about what you did there.
So I'm a writer there, and the show is an animated show. It takes place in Alaska. It's in its third season right now. I think the season finale just aired like 2 weeks ago, I want to say. And it's just like a show about like a family in Alaska who loves the outdoors. There's an Indigenous Alaskan family who's like part of the town that it is there, and they're great. And then I also work on the show with another Native writer, Alaska Native, named Carly Malamute. And so it's been cool to be able to like work in like a writer's room with another Native writer.
That was stand-up comedian Brian Bahi. And that's a slice of our Indigenous world. For all the latest, visit ictnews.org. From all of us in the newsroom, stay safe, my relatives.
This program is made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, a private corporation funded by the American people.